happy, you're sad, you're excited, you're frustrated, you're angry. You're all over the place. You guys, no one talks about, or maybe it was just me, I had no clue that trying to get debt-free would be so emotionally all over the place, and it kind of sucks, you know? Y'all know I've been struggling with this. Like, you guys are so sweet in the comments. Every time I say I'm struggling, you guys are so kind and so amazing, and I so appreciate it. You hear so many people on their debt-free journey, or really you see a lot of people doing their debt-free scream on Dave Ramsey, right? Or you see the videos about people who have hit financial independence and they have walked away from their jobs and this, that, and the other. And unfortunately, we all know social media is kind of a highlight reel, and you don't really see the day-to-day struggles and the implications of what this whole process can do to you mentally. And I'm just very open on my channel. You guys know absolutely everything. So I guess I'm just in a phase of frustration. I went through burnout really hard earlier this year, and I kind of came out of that, and I've been doing okay. But right now I would say that frustration is the thing that seems to be creeping in as we get closer to the end of the year. So if you guys have been following, you know, just recently in the last couple months, I've kind of hit the inflection point in my debt-free journey. I started with just over $231,000 in debt, most of which is student loans, and so far I have put over 143,000 of my doll hairs onto debt, and that has knocked off about 90,000 of that principal balance, just because a very big chunk has been interest, and which that in itself is incredibly frustrating. But during the student loan forbearance, because of the pandemic, I have been saving for my student loans, and I finally have saved up enough to get my balance over the halfway point. So I owe $160,700 as of today, and I have over $21,000 saved up, which puts the total that I would owe once I do dump that money on my student loans at $139,000, a little over. So that is officially under what I've actually put towards my debt so far, which is kind of a big deal. But it's interesting because when you're kind of in the midst of it, you don't really look at that big grand scheme picture. You just focus on the day-to-day, or for me it's the year-to-year and month-to-month. So I'm behind on my student loan savings goal that I had for this year, 2022. And as August is coming to a close, you know, we're over halfway through the third quarter of this year, and I am worrying about not hitting my goal. It's a self-induced goal, as they always are. I'm just really goal-oriented and hard on myself when it comes to my goals, but it messes with you mentally. And I don't know, like every paycheck I put over, you know, somewhere between like 40 and 60% of my income to my debt or debt savings, and it like provides a little bit of a win, or a little hit of excitement, positivity, whatever it be, and then it just is immediately, I don't know, it's just, I wouldn't say it's immediately overshadowed by the fact that I still have so far to go, but I guess that really is the reality of it, and it sucks. And I'm trying to focus more on the big picture, but it's hard, particularly in the day-to-day when, you know, obviously there's certain sacrifices you have to make. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make to get yourself debt-free, and luckily I'm noticing a shift collectively that people are desiring debt freedom and or financial independence, and just kind of wanting to break away from the norm and not have a continual cloud of debt over your heads. And whether you want to include a mortgage in that is like an individual thing, but at least, you know, credit cards and car loans, people are realizing that the ultimate flex now is to not have the nicer car, the nicer home, the nicer clothes and things. It's time freedom, right? So I feel a shift in society going that direction, which is amazing. And I hope more people do start sharing their day-to-day struggle with this shit, because even though there's a shift, it's still the minority of people who are trying to get themselves in a better financial spot and not have to continually be reliant on making income. And it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to be the minority. I know I get most of my encouragement and inspiration from you all because, you know, people in your day-to-day life don't necessarily want to hear about it. They're not on the same path. They don't understand it. They don't find the same excitement in paying off a credit card as you might, or, you know, whatever it might be. And it's hard to continually remain excited, because in your day-to-day, when you do that item, you like want to talk to somebody about it or tell someone, and they're just like, oh, that's cool. Now, and granted, I do have a couple of those people in my real life that are excited for those kinds of things and this whole journey I'm on, but it's just, there's only a few of them, you know what I mean? And it's just, it can suck. Like, there's so many mental aspects of debt freedom, like, or being on this debt-free process, like FOMO, and, you know, you're constantly feeling like you're missing out on things because you do have to make sacrifices. You know, you maybe live in a smaller, less nice apartment, and your coworkers and your friends live a little bit more bougie than you, or, you know, you drive the used car that's paid off because a fancy new car isn't a hot item for you. So it just, little bits of FOMO definitely creep in here and there for me, especially when it comes to like vacations and buying material things. Like, I would love to have a lot more material things than I do have, but it's just not my priority right now. And so you do kind of feel like you're missing out, and certainly always on some kind of comparison loop, particularly when it comes to social media. It's hard to see, especially when in the span of just a couple of minutes scrolling on your phone, you can see so many different things, so many people buying this and that, driving this and that, vacations, traveling, you know, it's hard. It's hard when you don't allow yourself to do those things because you want to, and you make sacrifices somewhere, and you're always going to be comparing yourself in those areas to everyone else around you, and on social media particularly. So that definitely sucks. And then it even sucks to have to backtrack sometimes, you know, like obviously expenses come up in life, and when your emergency fund gets depleted or some unexpected expense that you can't cover has to come up, and you do have to put it on a credit card, or you do deplete your savings or whatever it is, and you feel like you have to start back from square one with that, and that adds an extra element whenever that crops up, and that just sucks as well. It's just, I don't know. I don't even mean for this whole video to be negative. I'm very excited. I'm proud of myself. I'm so happy of my progress. It just, it's hard to remain focused on that happiness all the time, especially when it's starting to rain. Shit. But, oh well. Man, now I lost my train of thought. But I don't know. It's hard to remain happy. Like, I know, and I've always loved the quote since the first time I heard it. I forget, maybe it's a Dave Ramsey thing. I don't really know, but live like no one else so that one day you can live like no one else. And I really, really, really try to stay focused on that when I do feel like I'm missing out, or I do feel like I'm kind of restricting myself when it comes to things, and it just sucks. Like this year, 2021, I really, really was like balls to the walls, went after it, and I hit my goal in only 7 months. I saved up $30,000, and I had that same goal for 2022. but I gave myself the whole year and I still don't think I'm gonna hit it, and that's incredibly frustrating. But that's because I told myself this year I was gonna take better care of my mental health, focus more on the things that I love doing, and really focus on things that'll bring me happiness physically, mentally, emotionally, and it just kind of prioritizing those things instead of saving all the time. Like, I went on a vacation earlier this year that was pretty expensive, and it's hard to think about that amount of money that I spent, and oh man, if only I hadn't spent that, I could be that much further towards my goal. But that's not necessarily the best way to think about it either. So it's just, you got to do what's right for you ultimately, but it's a give and take. There's definitely a push and pull on this journey that is hard to swallow sometimes, and I just really hope, you know, I don't know, it's not all roses all the time as some people like to portray it. Especially, you know, a lot of people don't talk about the in-between. They start posting and talking about how amazing their life is after they've hit that point, but which is great, and it gives us something to look forward to and aspire to, but damn, what do I do in the meantime? You know, it's like trying to live your life but trying to get through. Per the numbers, I'm halfway through my debt-free journey, and so even in 2025 I'll already be 40 years old. So it's like, okay, great, at 40 I can finally start living. Like, it just sucks that I've spent the second half of my 20s and all of my 30s just feeling completely overwhelmed and financially crippled, and then finally deciding to do something about it. And when I'm 40, I will finally be beyond the mistakes that I made in my early 20s, and then I can finally start feeling like an adult and feeling like I'll get ahead and feeling like I'll be somewhere in life. And it just, damn, I don't know. That thought right there definitely brings about the FOMO. Like, I don't, you know, I have owned a house before in the past, before grad school, well, at the start of grad school, and I can't buy one now, or I've chosen not to buy one now because it's not financially feasible. I don't live in an area where I want to stay. When I am debt-free, I'm only here for this job that I hate, and as soon as I can walk away from it, I'm leaving. So it's like, I don't have kids yet, I don't have a family, I don't have a home to, you know, I don't have like roots. And at 40, it's finally, I'm gonna be able to put my head above water and finally say, okay, now what do I want? There's this whole other world that happens, this whole life of emotions and ups and downs that happens in the meantime, and I never saw anyone talking about that part of it. So this is my open book, just sharing my shit in the middle. I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate you guys' support. Your comments are so amazing and so appreciated, and I hope you know that. And if you are new here and are curious about how I got myself here, check out this video right here, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.